welcome to another Cross Canada Solo Challenge video. First one en route, and we're just flying right now. We're en route from Regina to Lake of the Woods, where we'll be stopping with friends again. And it's pretty foggy outside. I think it's smoke from some forest fires or something, but nothing to worry about. And my plane is a mess right now. I'll be working on cleaning it up in a little while, but it's going well. We did the mountains yesterday. The mountains were actually a little bit easier than I thought. We managed to get over them, and we had no real turbulence, which was really nice. I guess usually if there's kind of any wind, you get turbulence, and that really bumps you around a lot. I took a lot of pictures though, so those will be up on the website soon. Right now we're going west to east, so the prevailing winds are obviously most of the time from west to east. And
landing in 5 minutes, James.
And right now we have about a 10 knot tailwind. At one point a couple minutes ago it was about 20 knot tailwind. So that's really nice. That's gives us a lot of big speed boost there. I'm thinking just doing a little walk around to the cabin, so here goes. This is the airspeed. It tells you how fast you're going in relation to the air. So right now I'm going 120 miles per hour in relation to the air. This thing right here is a turn and bank indicator. So the ball on the bottom represents kind of what's called slip and slide. So if you're like that or like that, that tells you how much you need to correct it. And then the little airplane there shows how much bank you have. This thing is an attitude indicator. It shows you kind of where you're at in terms of the horizon. So when you're flying through clouds or stuff like that, this is pretty much your number one instrument so that you don't end up falling out of the sky, basically. This is a compass. It's a gyroscopic compass, actually, so you have to set it. So right now we're between east and 60 degrees, so you can set this like so, and that'll tell you your direction. And this thing actually has an error of about 1 degree every 15 minutes, I believe. So you got to keep resetting that every once in a while. And this is revolutions per minute. It tells you how fast your propeller is going. So right now, 2,400 revolutions per minute. Manifold pressure right here is directly related to power output. So you set that for cruise power, takeoff power, or whatever else you need. Altimeter, this tells you how high you are, and you can set that based on the pressure of the atmosphere on that specific day. This is vertical speed, so it tells you how fast you're going up or down. And normal is about 500 feet per minute, and if you really want to go fast, you can go about, in this airplane, you can go about 10, or I guess 1,000 feet per minute. Fuel tells you how much fuel you have. This thing's not really working right, because we actually have 52 or so gallons in those two tanks, and this one only shows about 36 full, so we have to recalibrate that. Exhaust gas temperature here.
Final, James.
And cylinder head temperature. This tells you how hot your cylinders are, each cylinder. And then exhaust gas temperature, and that's how you lean out the plane, lean out the engine to get better fuel flow. Oil gauge, pressure, temperature, pretty straightforward, and volts and amps, so amps and volts. In this center kind of stack here, up here we have some fuses, GPS fuses, radio, so that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the frequency, and this is the standby frequency, and you can switch over just like that. And then we have a transponder, which basically tells air traffic control and other airplanes that are equipped with what's called a TCAS system where you are. And then below that is another GPS. This one's pretty old, I think. It's pretty old. And then down here you have the landing gear indicator lights. So up on water, in air, down on land. So when you put the gear down, these lights light up and you know when exactly your gear is down, and make sure they're all down and locked when you land on land, and up and locked when you land on water. And there's also another indicator right there. You can see up water, down land, and that little red thing kind of moves left and right when the gear up or down. So down here we have key. This is what's called a mag switch, and I believe that stands for magnetos. So those are what actually ignite the spark plugs. And master switch, or sorry, not master switch, but the bus switch, and that puts on the alternator and battery, depending on which one you want to use. Typically you just have them both on. And then there's a bunch of switches. Those are pretty much all lights. And then there's the avionics master, which powers this, and this. And then we have just more fuses. Gear selector switch, so down, up. It doesn't actually do anything unless you pump it though, which the pump is right here. And I actually have to pump, if I want the gear to go up or down, I need to pump it about 50 times to make it move. And then you have throttle, primer, which just injects more fuel into the engine before you start. Carburetor heat, so if you have ice in your carburetor, you just pull that and it gets rid of the ice. And you actually lose power when you do that, so you don't want to leave that on for very long. Then you have propeller, which what this knob does is it changes the set RPM. And the RPM, we have what's called a constant speed propeller. So you set the RPM, and based on the power setting, it changes the pitch of the blades to keep that RPM always. And then you have mixture, which controls the ratio of fuel to air going into the engine. And for takeoff and landing, you push this in and it's full. But when you're flying, you don't want to be burning all that gas, so you pull it back until this is about, and you adjust that until this is about 50 degrees lean of peak. And eventually when you pull this thing back, this will peak and then it will start dropping again. And with a carbureted engine, you need to run rich of peak, so that you don't, it's just the best way to do it. So you control this and look at that and figure out what the best mixture is. This is just the intercom. You can see the light goes on and off. That's if you're talking. Volume, squelch, which just kind of cancels out outside noise. Suction, that is basically that's power generated by the engine, which is in the form of air suction, and that powers this, and I think that's it. It powers these two instruments, and that basically tells you how much suction you have. So if you have too much or too little, that can be a bad thing. And over here we have a chronometer, which is basically just a clock and a stopwatch. I've actually never used that. And then in the middle here we have a fuel pump control system. And what that does is we have two tanks. We have inboards and outboards. So in here there's an inboard and an outboard, and this basically pumps fuel from the outboard to the inboard. And basically you have to do that to make it usable. And then a few more things down here. We have flaps, and you can see the first control surface there. The first one, the outer one, is the aileron, but the inner one is the flap. And there's another one on that side. And those things basically just come down to slow you down and increase lift when you're landing or taking off. And then you've got a trim. So this trims down or up, depending on what you need. Gear pump, fuel selector switch, so you can select either left tank or right tank, and you will draw fuel out of out of one of the two, or you can select both or both off, which you obviously don't want to do in the air. And finally, water rudder extend, water rudder control, and that controls those rudders right there, and those things go down so that you can control the plane on the water.